The following is intended for mature audiences only. Discretion is advised.
Thank you so much for downloading this episode of So What Do You Really Do? A podcast where I, your host, Dennis Mann, speak with artists and entertainers about their day job. And I'm out of the studio and on the road in Baltimore for the Charm City Comedy Festival. And I got to just hang out right now with my two Baltimore comedian friends that we all started right around the same time. Josh Kuderna and Umar Khan, which not only do I know you both from comedy, I found out today that you guys live together.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's one of those, I walked up, knocked on the door, and then Umar walked up and he was like, "Oh, hey, you're here to record with Josh. I don't know if he's here. Hold on."
And walks in the house and you're like, what?
Yeah. We're the bad boys of Hickory.
Yeah.
Yes. So Umar Khan, before we're gonna jump in, that way we're not taking up too much time. Umar Khan, your day job is psychiatrist.
Oh, I'm a school psychologist.
For Baltimore County schools or city schools?
For Baltimore City schools.
Okay, because there's gonna be a different world of
It's way different.
yeah, between city and county kids.
Yes, way. It just different. Just way different.
It's interesting too when you talk about Baltimore City and Baltimore County. If you're not familiar with this area, it makes no sense.
No.
Like I remember Joe Rogan had a former cop on.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, so I was in the county. And Joe Rogan's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah,
like,
do most states not do counties?
I know Boston doesn't.
Yeah,
which is
they do.
weird.
I've never heard Boston County. I've never heard.
It's either the
Well, it's not-
suburbs or the city proper, right?
Yeah,
Right.
because Boston is inside of Suffolk County, but nobody talks about Suffolk County.
Right.
Like if you say Suffolk County, nobody knows what the hell you're talking about.
Right.
They know
Never
Baltimore,
heard of
or
it.
they know Boston,
Yeah.
and then everything around it. And like all the other communities have their own mayor. So like here in Baltimore, we have the mayor of the city, we have the mayor of the county, then we have the governor.
Yeah.
And that's basically it.
Well, yeah, and that's an annoying thing. Like when you travel, like I just say Baltimore. You
Yes.
know, like I'm from, but then here, it's people will call you out on it because if like there's
What part?
Yeah, well, yeah, people are like, dude, no, you're from the county. You're not from Baltimore. I'm like, I know, it just makes things easier. But they're
Baltimore
like,
County, yeah.
it's pretty much their way of saying you're a pussy, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, it's just,
You weren't in the shit.
Yeah, you didn't grow up in the city. It's
Catonsville,
like, yeah.
pussy.
Yeah, unless you say like me, it was like, oh, I'm from Dundon. They're like, oh yeah, no, you're in the shit. You're in the shit.
But it's also like most of the people that try to call you out on that are like people who, if they did grow up in the city, they grew up in a nice part of the city. So it's like, dude, you were you grew up in a nicer house than me. You just have a zip code that's in the city.
Right.
Yeah, Hamilton or something like that.
Yeah, or like Roland Park. or
Roland
whatever.
Park, exactly.
Yeah.
There's a good one.
And now no one knows what we're talking
No,
about.
we don't. Hi, local podcast, everyone.
Like nobody understand that. They're like, let's talk about it for 10 minutes.
Well, the reason it's different between the city and the county, I'm sure, is because city. I mean, you're still going to get kids with, maybe abuse problems or this that. But I feel like the county kids, it's going to be much. You're going to deal a lot more with kids with depression, and I don't mean to say like an asshole.
No,
with
they're
finger
legit
quotes,
problems. They're real problems. I just like I have a bias against like rich people.
Black people. Oh, right.
Black people. Yeah. I thought it'd be funny, and it's not a funny joke, but like. He's like, you know, what made you get into like school psychology? It's like, well, you know, I think about kids suffering, and I get a lot of pleasure out of it. So I get to go to work every day and watch kids suffer. And I love it.
It's payback for all the suffrage I got from bullies.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's way different. Like my friend who works in the county, in a rich county, like one of the richest counties in the country. She was telling me that she had to talk to a second grader. He was having like almost like an anxiety attack because his family was going on vacation over spring break.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to like Saudi Arabia, and he was worried that his dad didn't buy first class tickets. And like that's what she had to like counsel him.
Don't
for.
you hate it when that happens?
Yeah,
You're
dude,
like,
I know. I'm like, Dad, stop being such a pussy.
Quit fucking around.
Yeah.
If I'm in business class,
Yeah.
I'll kill
I
myself.
want unlimited chocolate milk on my flight.
Yeah. Bottomless juice cup.
Yeah.
Keep filling it up, alright? I never want to see the bottom of my juice cup.
What is this Capri Sun bullshit?
Let's go. I'm not fucking around with this straw.
Put the straw in for me, bitch.
Yeah. What am I, poor? No way.
And meanwhile, you're dealing with kids who are like, my mom's on crack, or
Yeah, stuff like, like horrendous.
my brother was shot.
Yeah, totally. Like, I've dealt with.
How much can you say? Can you speak in generalities like this? Because you can't.
I think so.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you can talk about the things you deal with, not specifically kids.
I think I can not use names, and if I just don't talk about the school system disparagingly.
And it's adorable that you guys think anyone's going to hear this podcast.
yeah. And that's I don't know if I would go on like the news or something and talk about it, but
oh man, you just bummed out all the news. They're like, what are we gonna put on now?
I mean, I don't trust fake news anyways.
Oh yeah, that's all it is.
I've dealt with just this year I think I've dealt with multiple people dying, kids. I had to tell a preschool class their fucking aide died. It was a bummer. And then but none of the preschool kids understand death. You're just yeah, they're gone. It's fine. And they're like, okay. And then I'm like, so have you they just love attention. So I remember I told them, I was like, so this, Mrs. blah, 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 she died. This is what dying means. Sometimes people are sad when this happens and it's okay. And then the kid raised her hand I'm sad. And I was like, why are you sad? I didn't have breakfast. It's okay. And then some kids one's I'm sad. I'm like, okay, why are you sad? And then sit there and try to think of something to make up on the spot. That kid who raised his hand but didn't know the answer.
Yeah, I'm picturing Kim Jong-un's funeral. Remember they force people to cry. Oh no, I'm so sad.
That's actually a thing in I don't know if it was Japanese culture or Chinese culture. They will pay people to come to their family members' funerals and just cry.
Oh, yeah. I would love that.
Dude,
I've seen articles about that.
That's amazing.
It would be so funny too. Your funeral is just filled with your family and then Japanese people. They're all so sad. Everyone has questions, no answers.
Yeah.
Well, I was just talking last night after the Charm City comedy show. I went to my old haunt, and I was talking to a girl, to a woman who...
He's like, she was at least 18.
So I was talking to this broad, because, she's not real people's. Anyway, I was talking to a woman who bartends at Lucky's, but she's also a school teacher, English teacher, I think she said. And I don't know. Anyway, she said that she works at a city school. She works at a city school, and I was like, "Oh man, you're an attractive looking woman. I feel so bad for you having to deal with high school kids." She and being an attractive female and dealing with high school kids. And then she goes, "Oh no, it's not bad in the city. When I worked in the county, and with all white kids in Bel Air,
is she white?
She is white.
That's why.
Yeah, that's why I felt that. And she's like, oh, I don't get hit on in the city schools, but when I worked at the schools in Bel Air, I got hit on by students every day. Me and then another teacher of mine, she was a 21, that's her first year teaching at Bel Air, and just some kid on one of the kids in her class just whipped their dick out and was like, come on, you want this. She's like, no, put that away.
Yeah,
and she goes,
is that all she did? That's not how you respond to sexual assault.
She was even
wait until recess.
Yeah. Well, she didn't know how to handle the situation, and the principal and the whole staff of school was like, you
she
can press
takes
charges
away
if you
free
want.
time from him.
It's like, okay, you know what? No recess and no stack time for you.
No, that's what's hilarious. I work with some pretty attractive teachers, and a lot of them are white. And in my, I think they're attractive, but then I just hear kids making fun. I remember that I work with this teacher, and kids for some reason they're so fucking mean. They make fun of her toes all the time. And they say she's got crusty ass feet.
Damn.
And it's she has really nice feet. There's nothing wrong with their feet.
It's like that John Mulaney bit where he's 12-year-olds are the most terrifying.
Yeah.
It's they identify the one thing about you. And he's like, if I see a group of them, I'm so afraid they're gonna be like, hey, look at that high-waisted man.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not high-waisted.
Dude, there's so I remember I was just walking up the steps and I hear a girl go, Mr. Khan's a goofy bitch.
That's not an insult you can get mad at. You're just like,
I know nothing bothers. I think it's hilarious. I don't give a shit. I don't correct it. There's no reason.
And if you did, they would just make it worse.
Yeah,
I'm not a goofy bitch,
dude.
All right.
And that's it. I couldn't have imagined cussing in front of teachers but they get away because that's the least of the concerns.
Tell them about I don't want to.
Oh yeah. So one time I was working. I wasn't working yet, and I was a student doing 10 hours a week in a school, and there was a principal that these kids didn't like, and I was in a middle school, and I don't know, they just weren't listening to the principal, and the principal was gonna make him write an essay, and this kid lost it, and he just like yells in front of like everybody, like, "Yeah, that's why I'm gonna skull fuck your wife." It's like crazy.
How old's the kid?
He was like 13.
13. Skull fuck your wife.
Your wife.
Amazing.
Oh, this is the best, dude.
Like, the only thing that makes that sentence better if he would have said, "I'm gonna skull fuck your old lady." Like,
yeah. Like get super white trash on it.
that's like Essex. Like,
Yeah.
It was a white kid too. That was hilarious.
Wow.
And now, since you've already heard his voice, so we can get familiar with the distinction between the two of theirs, we're also sitting with Josh Kuderna, who works for, and you messaged me SSA, and I had to now just figure out, I was like, oh, Social Security Administration.
Yeah.
Because you're a budget analyst for Social Security Administration,
Yeah.
and I have no idea what that sentence even means.
I kind of don't either. It's tough to explain it. I was a history major too, and now I'm a budget analyst for the government, so I don't know. But I like the job. Real quick, the school thing made me think of our mutual friend Catherine. She's a teacher out in the county. Catherine Carlson.
Yeah.
And just talking about like awkward moments with students and stuff. So the first day back, of course, kids are like crazy because it's like the first day and they're all riled up. And she had 38 kids in her class. She's teaching a theater class. 38 kids, which is like an insane amount of people. She finally gets them settled down, and then this one kid comes in, and he's a little slow. And
Oh no.
he opens the door, and he's late, so everybody's in there. And then he just comes in, and he goes, "What up, my man?" And like says the N-word.
Is he white?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like, who doesn't say the N-word? Only white people, it feels like. Like, if you're telling a story about someone saying the N-word, of course they're white. Like,
Yeah.
nobody just says, so black guy walked in and said the N-word, and we all were like, fine with it.
Yeah. Good point.
But he didn't mean it in like a mean way. Like you could tell he probably heard it over the summer.
Yeah.
Like knew that it was like cool, and so he's like, "How am I gonna make my first impression?"
Yeah.
And then Catherine can't punish him. It's like, okay, calm down. Like just take a seat. And then he sits down next to a black girl that's just like staring daggers into him, and he's like, "What's up?"
How old are they?
I don't know. I think they were in high school.
God.
Yeah, just amazing.
You would get
Like, what up?
murdered.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That's so funny.
Yeah.
I like that though, like Josh and I have like completely different jobs, but we both get so much material out of like the black people we work with.
Black people in general are
They're the
nuts.
fucking funniest people in the world,
Well,
dude.
Nick Oldershaw always busts my balls. He's like, here's my Josh Kuderna impression. Hey, black people say wacky stuff. Huh?
Yeah, Nick Oldershaw came up to me because we were all roasting. It was like me, Josh, and Nick were roasting, making fun of each other, just jokes.
Yeah.
Because like Nick is this comic who's like super funny, super smart. He's like a young kid though.
Yeah.
And it's like all of his jokes just kind of seem like he just sits in his room alone and is like, wouldn't this be weird?
Yeah.
Instead of like life experience.
Yeah.
So and then I told that to him, and then he comes over to me. He's like, "Hey Umar, can't wait to hear your joke about gluten-free food you're eating." It's just like
amazing. Fucking with Nick, just like, "Hey guys, Stephen King writes a lot of weird stuff, huh? Isn't that wild?"
Yeah.
Well, do you do the SSA in the city or county?
So this is in the county.
Because that's
it's
definitely different. There's definitely a difference.
Yeah,
between
so
the
this
two
is
again.
the headquarters in Woodlawn.
Okay.
Where I work. So
Featured in Die Hard 4.
yeah.
They're
Oh,
like,
did they use that building?
yeah, they were like, "We gotta go to Woodlawn, Maryland."
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah, I remember
Because
that.
when I was 20, I worked at the Bennigan's right near there.
What?
I don't know if it's
Yeah.
still there.
It's
I
not- no,
remember
it's not.
that. I grew up like 2 minutes from where Josh works.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
so funny. Where the fuck, dude? You've Bennigan's?
Yeah, I
That's
worked at
crazy.
Bennigan's. I was 50% of the 50% of white male servers that worked there.
Oh my
Nice.
god.
Nice.
Yeah, it was an experience. I think that
Sure.
was the first time I got called a redneck to my face, and I was like, "Hon, I'm from Dundalk. If you want to meet some rednecks, I'll take you to Sparrows Point and introduce you to a couple that are
Yeah.
also just happens to be skinheads
Yeah,
who
right.
I fight with because I go to punk rock shows."
Right,
She's like,
right.
yeah. I'm gonna walk away from you now.
Do you?
Seems a little intense.
Nobody knows what Dundalk is either.
Nobody-
It's just a
oh,
shitty part of town.
Yeah, they should know about Dundalk.
Oh.
They should know.
All right, now working with the Social Security Administration with
Yeah.
budget analysis,
Yeah.
you said you went to school for history. How did you end up at the Social Security Administration?
Well, Dennis, through the power of God, anything is possible. I prayed on it. No, so
Like, Lord, please give me a job that I have no experience or qualification.
right, with all the benefits. So it's a history major, and then I went to UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, out in the county more. And they SSA had a job fair, and they had like a few different people from different departments saying what they're looking for, and they had some IT stuff. And I remember the Inspector General guy, because those are the people that are like the watchdogs of agencies and stuff. They like tried to make it sound cool. He's like, you hunt down people, you might get a gun. It's like, cool. And then the Office of Budget, they were saying that like we do a lot of stuff with numbers, and then we also need writers to put the story to the numbers for the stuff we send to Congress. And I was like, I just wrote a 30-page paper, and so gave them that, and then ended up getting an interview with them. And I actually interviewed with one component of SSA that I'm really glad I didn't end up working for, but I thought I like crushed the interview, but I was just like fucking around. It was two like older lady, like kind of like middle-aged ladies, and they asked me, she's like, so what would you do, say, like if you saw me doing something wrong? Would you tell somebody? And I was like, first of all, I don't think you would do anything.
Yo, that's so cool.
But they like died laughing, and I was like, crushed.
Oh.
So, and then I got a phone call asking for an interview, and I was like, oh, I just did an interview. Like, oh no, we're not associated with them. It was the Office of Budget that got a hold of me. And I had to do a phone interview with them, and like, I don't know anything about Social Security.
Yeah.
And they asked me what would I do to keep the trust fund solvent? Which is like the biggest problem with SSA, and has
I don't even know what solvent is.
exactly. Yeah, I was like, trust fund.
Isn't solvent what you put in water to keep it soft?
Yeah.
Like, we got hard water, we got to put some solvent in this.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I
so
go
we're gonna
into.
keep the trust fund soft.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, you guys got hard water? Okay, I know what you do with that.
I like the idea that like so they ask you that question like, hey, so how would you keep the trust fund solvent? And then you try to use the same line again. I don't think you would do anything wrong.
I don't think you could solve it.
Yeah, I'm on the phone. Yeah, I don't think you guys can solve anything. So yeah,
I think it's almost, as a history major, I almost want to hear you come up with some weird, crazy, like, well, in 1857, when Abraham was running for
yeah, I believe it was General George Washington that once said, trust funds are good. I just bullshitted my way through it. But what that means is like, basically we're all putting money into Social Security, and then you want to have money for people that are retiring, right? But I didn't know that, and I just had to bullshit my way through it. It's like, well, if you just check your numbers, stay diligent. And
hope that more people die before they can actually.
exactly. Yeah. Diligently kill old people. Like, so I was just like bullshitting my way through it. And luckily, I got a real interview after that. And the one thing that saved me on the phone is I was working at Paper Moon at the time, diner here in Baltimore. And they're going through my resume, and they're like, oh, I see you work at Paper Moon. And I hear this one voice just go, I love their turkey burgers. I was like, I'm in. Yeah. It's like, I'll give you all the turkey burgers.
Yeah.
So then I got the in-person interview, and that went well. And on my resume, I wrote that I like other interests or whatever. I wrote that I play in bands, and they were so into that. They're just like, oh, you play guitar, blah, blah.
That's awesome.
And I was like, my grandma told me to put that on there. And I was like, no, that's so dumb. Like, why would they care?
Yeah.
She's like, just put it on there. And everybody was like, after I started, they're like, yeah, they're all talking about it. Like, he plays guitar. Wow.
Yeah,
like,
that's
the
so
older people
funny,
that work
dude.
there.
That's awesome.
So,
Psychology. How did you get into psychology? Obviously, other than going to school, most people who go into like a medical fields, they always seem to have some stories like, well, I went into eye care because I've had glasses my entire life and I want to understand it.
No, I don't. I was in school and I just didn't know what I wanted to do, and then I think it's just like everyone. Like I took a psych class, was like, this is interesting, and then the whole time I wanted to do research. And then I started working in research. I did autism research, and I hated it. And,
That's got to be a bum out.
No, not that part. Like, I like working with kids, but like, I don't trust any research after work. Anytime like you read an article or a study, it's like, this is what we did. It's like, you did not do it like that. There's no way it went like dude, like I've like. Can you imagine doing research with like children with autism? They're just like running like nothing.
They won't stop talking about trains.
Yeah. No, legit. Like I won't say where I worked because I just hated it so. And they hated me. I got in trouble. I got yelled at my first week there for talking too much, if you can believe that. And then and then my third week there, I had to have a meeting. I got called into a meeting with both of my immediate supervisors, and the first question was, I had no idea. I thought they were just like checking in. They're like, I didn't know I was like in trouble, and they're like, the first question, like, so, how do you like working here? And I was like, oh, dope. Like, well, I didn't say dope. I was like, oh, it's great. Like, I got my own desk. That's pretty cool. Like, I thought like,
how about it?
Yeah, I thought like they were just checking in. So I was trying to be playful, and they're like, so yeah, we heard that you have some problems with this job, and that you didn't like some of the things we've asked you to do. And I was like, I don't think that's true, but just some like dickhead who I work with like heard me say something like sarcastically and took it seriously and told my fucking bosses. Jesus. Which is like a theme in my life where people hear me say things and then anyway, so I worked there and I fucking hated it, and I didn't get into any like PhD programs, and it was like a nightmare. And then I just like found school psychology, and I was like, that sounds dope. Like, you work school hours, I get off summers, I get off winter break, spring break, and I get to work with kids, and it's awesome. So yeah, that's how I did it. And yeah.
So you didn't have intentions of being an actual psychologist at first, until you're like, oh, doing research sucks.
Yeah, I wanted to work in academia, do research, like and then also like a clinical psychologist, so like practice, do research, and then like everyone was like, Umar, like you suck dick at listening to people. Like, you can't be like a clinical
psychologist. That's what your professor said?
Yeah.
In my professional opinion.
Yeah.
You suck.
So I put that on my CV under my under proficient at sucking dick at listening. Yeah. So then I just applied to school psych programs, and I went to school for 3 years, and now it's my first year working.
So another 3 years of school. So what's that, 7 years? Or?
I did 7 years of, I did 4 years of undergrad and then 3 years of grad school.
Oh, I can't imagine what the school bills are, or what's it, school loan, or I don't have them. I paid my 6 years through community college by working.
Oh shit!
Right.
Well, I went to community college, and then I got a lot of scholarships and grants. So undergrad was cheaper than community college, like the last 2 years, and then this is boring. But then I got grad school paid for because I worked for the university I went to.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
Yeah, but I still have loans, but it's not bad.
Yeah. That's not that bad. Yeah, well, all I hear is people talking about swimming in student loans, and I'm like, I don't know, dudes. I worked my way through school. I don't know.
Well, I think Trump just took away loan forgiveness.
Yeah, they're trying to.
Which is a bummer because I qualified for it, so I wouldn't have to pay back. I'd only pay back like maybe half of it.
Wow. Did you get Pell Grants? I got those.
No.
Those were great.
Yeah, I don't even know what Pell Grants are.
I didn't know what it was either until I qualified for it. Like,
I'm not gonna lie, like the amount of money that they'll just give you is insane. Like,
it's pretty good.
Just like they're like, well, this is what you qualify for. I was like, I'm gonna take all of that.
Yeah, totally.
And that's what I did, and I don't regret it, but yeah, it's fine. I don't give a shit, dude.
Yeah.
It comes out of my bank account. I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was an idiot too. I didn't even know what a grant was, and I was like, okay, so what's the interest on it? Like, no,
you just take
like,
it.
Yeah,
and we give it to you.
Yeah, I'll take it then.
Yeah, you're just a 17-year-old kid going, I need to go to school and I don't know how I'm going to pay for this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Problem?
No, it's just cool.
Master of None season 2.
Oh, right. I hear it's very good.
Yeah, you don't like that show.
I do like that show.
I
like the show a lot.
Aziz, if you're listening, Josh hates you.
Don't ever let him open for you at the Baltimore Arena.
My sneaky. Oh my God, what the fuck?
Oh, Aziz just broke in. You're talking shit.
Yeah.
No, I like the show. It's just there's little Aziz things that pop up that bother me, like when what did he like spilled something and he's like, oh no, my sneakies.
It's
like little like Aziz-isms.
Is this gonna get cut out too? I was talking about Aziz. I'm sorry.
Hey, Aziz, I'm not sorry.
I can if I want. Aziz, I'm not sorry.
Aziz, I'm not sorry. That's funny.
Yes. That alarm was heart pills, not Aziz going, oh no, the people are talking about the alarm.
Yeah.
My ears are burning. I actually didn't watch any of Master of None. I hear it's good. It's fine. I just, when it came on, I was just like, I think it's still in my queue. I just had not said
The acting is pretty bad, but the content is, the content's also like hackneyed, but it's still fun to watch.
There are some like really good moments though, like the wedding one when he's envisioning what he would say to his chick. I was like, damn.
Yeah, that is actually really good.
Yeah. So
well,
it's good, man.
do you both as comedians do you sometimes have problems watching comedies and having to over criticize them?
No, not really. If it's good, I love it.
I think if anything, doing something has made me less critical of things, only because I'm like, it's so hard to do like any kind of like show business stuff, and it's like if you are anyone that can end up on Netflix or MTV, or like, why am I shitting on you?
Yeah,
like, it's like, for me, it's either this is for me or this isn't for me. This does it for me. This doesn't. I'm not gonna be like, this person is so like, even with like the hatred towards Nickelback, I just don't get it. Like they make music you don't like. Who gives a shit? Like, why do you have to shit on something? It's so weird.
Yeah.
I think it comes from people who don't do anything themselves.
Well, I think it's that when you have a meteoric rise like that, where you just become so popular so fast, it's just, I have to turn around and hate them now. And it's like, I've played old Nickelback songs for people because they popped up on like some soundtrack I had, like a Dracula 2000 soundtrack or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I remember they were like a heavier band.
And I've played them, and they're like, oh, man, what is this? I'm like, it's Nickel. Like, I've done something with Smash Mouth. I've played Smash Mouth songs on jukebox, and they're like, oh, dude, what is this song? I'm like, it's Smash Mouth off Fushi Mang. They're like, I didn't realize they had a good song. I feel so bad.
Oh, I feel so dirty.
Yeah, but also people like don't realize is like any comedian or band that like quote unquote makes it, like they have some level of talent, and also they worked really hard. It's not like they just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's very rare that somebody is gonna get to that level without being talented.
Yeah, like even like Aziz, like he was doing stand-up for like I think almost 10 years before his first special came out, and everyone acted like he was like just this brand new comic, and you know what I mean? I mean, he definitely came up quicker than most people, but
for sure. And I think he was just so young.
He was young, and he like knows how to appeal to millennials.
And I think it was also like he went viral for doing a story about Kanye, didn't he? Wasn't one of his first big things, and so people looked at that and went.
Well, he was on Human Giant, I think, which got him.
Human Giant, and then all those Randy videos from the Funny People movie.
Yeah, see, I never saw the Randy stuff. I've seen some of his Human Giant stuff. I never saw any of the Randy stuff. I've heard about it.
I mean, he was just smart. He used the internet. It was good.
That's all you gotta do. Use the internet.
Use
the internet.
Oh, just use the internet and go viral. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just go viral.
Well, that's what's funny. Like, our buddy works for a video production company, and sometimes Josh and I will be asked to like help write commercials to make them funny.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, so this company wants us to make a video that's gonna go viral. It's like, what the fuck? That's like so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
That like, you know what I mean? It's just like not how the world works.
Right.
It's like saying, hey, we want to make something successful. It's like, okay, well,
but we actually did get something on Upworthy, so that was cool.
Yeah. What was that one?
It was like the climate change video with the.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So when you guys write, let's talk about that real quick. Writing for this production company, you just knew the guy and do it like. Had you, like, when he approached you, did he say, hey, I want you to help me write this? And did you go, I don't think we're qualified for that?
No, I don't know.
He said there was free pizza, and I was like, say no more.
Yeah, and we didn't even know we were going to get paid, but we got pretty
paid.
Yeah, we got paid for that gig. That was dope.
No, it's kind of the dream scenario. You sit around with, like, smart, funny people at a table, like 3 or 4 people, and you just throw out ideas.
Oh, dude, the last time... I don't know if I can say because of my job.
Yeah, you're having good times.
We were having good times, and so then we go to the room to write. Like, we're in this boardroom, and I'm having real good times. Josh is having good times. There's pizza. I eat like 5 pieces of pizza.
So we're walking over there, and Umar's like, I only have like 2 pieces of pizza. pizza. I had so much pizza as of late. cut to him laying on the floor. He's like, I had 5 pieces of pizza. And they're like, are you guys having good times? Like, what gave it away?
Yeah, but it was also funny because like, dude, we were there for like 2 hours, and then even like on Facebook, we were throwing out joke after joke after joke after joke and premise. They used one fucking dumb joke, and we got paid for it.
And often they don't use the best ones.
Well, they
can't because it's a company, so it has to be pretty like
on brand.
Yeah, like milk toast kind of humor. It's like you can't make fun of the consumer and stuff like that. So.
Did you know that going into it, or is one of those like you threw out an inappropriate joke and they're like, yeah, no, that's not gonna fly?
Yeah, well, so our buddy Chris, he took down a bunch of the ideas, and then like I think the companies will give guidelines too of like don't disparage the product or something like that, So, but otherwise, it's pretty fucking loose.
Yeah, but it's like a bunch of like fucking stupid, like I don't know. It's just people making decisions that don't know anything about like what's funny, and like. I don't know. Like, I always just think of it like if I watched this. So these commercials were going on YouTube. It was like those ads you could skip. I was like, I would skip this in a heartbeat. And like, we're trying to write stuff that's funny. Yeah. But I guess like to them, they're like they have to like walk on eggshells. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
no. Well, in their interest, they don't want anybody to look at it. They don't want somebody to see the commercial and then have a negative opinion towards it.
Yeah, but I don't think they would. They just get super nervous.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it's like, well, now you just made us make a commercial that everyone's gonna skip.
Yeah, and then it ends up being like very vanilla too. Because we did one for it was like the most interesting man, but it was like the most interesting man that like works in an office or something like that.
Oh, I don't even remember.
And I remember one of my jokes that got in was like when he points, he calls it a PowerPoint or something like that, or like power pointer fingers or something like that.
So parodying basically the Dos Equis commercials.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've done a couple of those punch-ups and stuff like that through people. Never in a room. They were just like, hey, here's the script.
Yeah.
Right.
What can you do? Or, hey, here's the idea that we want. What can you come around with it? And I was like, I've done it. Also, I've written commercials because I work in radio, so it's like they do this. But one of the videos I've done for somebody, they just basically wanted that, a viral video. And I was like, all right, well here's what it is. You can do like all the super villains.
Mm-hmm.
It was an office full of super villains, so it's like Darth Vader and Alan Rickman's character from Die Hard, and I just wrote this quick little 3-page thing. It's like I'm like, I don't think we can get any of these actors. Like, no, it's parody law. You just make them look like that person. They're like, tell us more about parody law. Like, I'm not a lawyer.
Not even close.
LegalZoom, that's where we need to go to get this answer.
Right?
Damn, dude.
It'd be so great if you did an ad for LegalZoom right there.
Yeah.
Speaking of.
This podcast is sponsored by. Well, all right, let's talk about that. Since we're talking about comedy, you're talking about jobs. Do the people you work with know that you do stand-up? Because they knew you were in bands before.
Yeah. So I started doing improv, which they kind of like didn't. That's what I started doing first, and they kind of didn't understand that. And then like it got into stand-up, so they're definitely more aware of it. And then when I got to interview Patton Oswalt for my podcast, they all know about that too because I had to leave work to do that. So.
Well, that was not only did you leave work, but the situation around it, because I was following along with the Twitter conversation.
Twitter,
Because basically what happened was you just sent a random tweet at Patton Oswalt. I'm like, hey, while you're in town, do you want to do a podcast?
So he was at Common Ground, which is a
coffee shop
here in my neighborhood, and he tweeted to John Waters, but not really, not like at John Waters, but he just said, hey, John Waters, I'm at your altar ready to worship you, and included the picture. And my buddy screen capped and sent it to me, and I was like, holy shit. So I was like, I just subtweeted him through that, and I was like, hey, I'm not John Waters, but if you do my podcast, I'll bring you a weird guy with a mustache or something like that. And he responded and said, like, okay, how soon can you get here? And it's like, holy shit!
That feeling must have been amazing.
It was incredible, because it was like this, like, we were sitting around, it was like me, my manager, my team leader, and like a couple other people, so it's like 4 or 5 of us. We're having a meeting on do we have the funds for fiscal 16? Let's go over the blah, blah. And I'm openly not paying attention because I'm on my phone like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
And then so I'm like, all right, I have to say something. And I think everybody thought that I was going to say like my grandma's dead or something. Because like my eyes are big and I'm like on my phone. And there were so many things to say, like what a podcast was, who Patton Oswalt was, and I was just like, does anybody know who Patton Oswalt is? And they're like,
Yeah.
And then it's like, he was on King of Queens. And then one person I work with, she's like, oh yeah, I remember him. And I was like, yeah, see, he's real. I gotta go. I have an internet radio show. He wants to do it. Because I didn't even try to say podcast. And luckily my manager was cool. And she was like, all right, remember us little people. And like, I was gone. So
well, you also, it was like basically your co-host at the time was tweeting back to him because you were in the meeting and didn't know it was that he had responded, right?
So at the time, Mike Moran didn't even know about it. So I called Mike Moran and I was like, hey.
Mike was the one that was in the dark. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember one of you guys didn't know what was happening.
Yeah, no. So I was doing everything, and then like I called Mike. I was like, "Hey, get to Common Ground. We're gonna interview Patton Oswalt. Just fucking get there as soon as possible." And he goes, "Well, I'm at the gym. Should I shower?" And I'm like, "Mike, do what you gotta fucking do." Patton Oswalt, like, it was so funny. Should I shower?
I thought you were gonna be like, he said, who's Patton?
Which would not have been out of line at the time.
Oh man, dude, that's so fun. I remember, I love that shit. Like how, because I've gotten like pretty awesome gig. I think like the biggest gig I've ever done, I got through Facebook.
Yeah.
And when I got the response from Hassan Minaj from The Daily Show, he was like, "Yeah, man, I would love for you to open."
Who just did the correspondence dinner too?
Yeah. And I was in a Apple store waiting for my fucking phone to get fixed, and I was like in such a bad mood, but I was like, waiting for my computer to get fixed, and
your what?
My computer.
Oh, okay.
Or something to get fixed, and I just remember I was sitting on the Apple Store's laptop, and I got a message from him saying I could do his show. It was like this sold out show for like 850 people, and I just remember going, holy fuck, oh my god. Yeah. And this guy runs over, watch your mouth, dude, this is a family establishment. I was like, okay, sorry.
Apple Store?
Yeah, that's what he said, this is a family business.
What the fuck?
He was furious. And then
it's the guy that works there?
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, and like, I mean, honestly, you can't say, I mean, what am I going to say? Like, I just got news that I'm opening up for Hassan Minaj.
Yeah.
But that's also the best, like, because the people...
It's like, look, I don't care what you and Nicki Minaj do.
Yeah.
Get out. You're trash.
Like, the people that I work with, like, they know I do comedy and they love it, and they think, like... It's funny because, like, a bunch of other school psychs have come to see me, but nobody, like, who... But, you know, we don't work in the same buildings, like... I really want like some of my coworkers to come see me, but like yesterday, I was like, "Hey, Miss blah blah blah, you should come to my show tonight." And I work with mostly like black women, and she was like, "What kind of crowd is it gonna be?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Is it gonna be mixed?" I was like, "Do you mean are there gonna be black people there?"
Yeah.
And she was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Maybe."
Yeah.
She was like, "Nah."
If you're there will be.
Yeah. I was like, my brother will be there.
Yeah, he's been confused.
He looks black.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, they like it, but they've never come see me. But also, the kids know that I do stand-up, the high school kids. And I was in a classroom one time, and the teacher goes, "Hey, did you guys know Mr. Khan's a comedian?" I was like, God, why would you tell Black City high school kid? Because one, no way am I going to be funny to them.
Nope.
No fucking way.
Literally, all she did is tell the kids, don't find anything he says funny from here on out.
Yeah, for sure. And then there were
girls in the class like, that goofy ass bitch.
Yeah, they were like, he's so. What did she say? Something to the equivalent that I'm so boring.
Right.
She said you're so dull. That's what she said. Literally, like you're so dull.
Dull hurts more than boring.
Oh, for sure. And then
dull.
She goes, "Tell us some jokes," and I was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "No, it doesn't work that way. Come on." And I was like, "No." She's like, "Come on, you got any videos?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm not gonna show you. You're a kid.
Yeah,
I'm not showing you my video."
Right.
And then she goes, "You probably tell like white people jokes." And I was like, "What are white people jokes?" Like, I don't know. You probably make jokes about the moon and stars.
That's incredible.
Which is so funny because Rory Scovel does a joke about the moon. It's one of my favorite bits ever.
I love that.
The day moon bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, actually, I pretty much do tell white people jokes, I guess. Yeah. And then people know that I do comedy. It's It's fine. I don't care. Parents know that I do it.
Yeah, it does suck when there's the thing of like, oh, well, tell some jokes.
That's the worst.
I had it once where we were having a pizza party at work because we're adults, and we were sitting.
Was this after the ice cream social?
Yeah, exactly. We have those too. But so we were sitting like at a bunch of like long tables, but for some reason the long tables were in like a square. So everybody's kind of facing each other, and it was kind of weird. And like, people were chatting a little bit, but I think people felt like they were on the spot because everybody was like looking at each other. And this woman that I work with, who's nice, but like kind of not all there, she goes, well, Josh, why don't you tell some jokes for us? And mind you, it's like 11 a.m. And I'm like, nah, it's not really how it works. You know, same thing. And then she goes, no, just do some jokes. And I'm like, God. No, like there's a reason comedy clubs aren't open at 11 a.m. and they're in conference rooms with fucking fluorescent lights. And then she does a third lap with me. God. And then she acted like I was the asshole. And I'm like, no, I don't. And then she's like, oh, fine. I just thought you'd want to. I know. I'm like, no. You know how awkward that would be?
Yeah.
God.
I know.
So, like, flat and weird. And
yeah, but I also have to be like, I kind of have to like guard. I don't know, because I work with kids in schools that I have to like be careful of like.
You don't want a parent to see it.
Can't a parent see it? Like, I can't, like talk about specifically.
You ever I think the people you work with are a little more real, so you can you can fuck around, but like being in an office culture, I work with people that are like most of not mindless, but like that fake of like, hey, blah, 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 you know,
it's like that professional front.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So professional front sounds like the worst punk rock band.
Oh, dude, yeah.
So I work with this one chick, and she was just like,
we're professional front. This is first song's called Sensitivity Training.
Actually, we're not gonna start. Is that okay? Yeah. All right, now just the fellas. That's how you identify yourself.
No, for the people who identify as male.
Yeah, that's fine.
We got our album on sale called "It's Going."
But she was just very backhanded compliment, kind of like shitty, and she would like say stuff where it's like she thinks she's being nice. She's like, well, when I do it this way, and basically saying like, you're an idiot. Here's how I do it. And one time, so the way our cubicles were set up was like there was like 8 of us, so like 2 rows of 4. And we were all talking about something and like working on some project, and somebody goes like, oh, good job, Josh, because I was some project I was working on. And I was like, no big deal. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut, right? And then it's like, ha, ha, ha. And then it kind of dies down. And then this chick, she goes, well, actually, and I'm like, fucking here we go. I could just let it lay there.
Yeah.
She goes, wouldn't it be easier for a squirrel to find a nut because it's blind and its sense of smell is heightened? And like before she's even done talking, it's like, all right, Cindy, how about we blind you and see how fast you get a sandwich from the cafeteria? And she's like a bigger gal too. And so like,
well, she's more likely to find a sandwich than that's dead.
Yeah. And then so like there's just kind of like people laugh, but they're like, oh. And then I'm like, I'm kidding, but like you forget, it's just like, don't fucking come at me, like I'll destroy you.
Oh, dude, I fucking I had to make an apology when I worked at that shitty research job, and I was still doing stand-up, and we used to have like, you know, like whenever people had birthdays, there'd be a birthday card out, and I would always just write something funny or like whatever. And my buddy Klaus, they were celebrating, they were throwing like a baby shower for him and his wife, and also they were doing a first birthday for his son, and I know his family. We're close. Me and Klaus used to like hang out sometimes, and like I guess like I didn't know it was like a fancy card. I didn't know how it worked, and I ended up writing on the cover of it, like on the front, and I wrote something super shitty. It was like for his son's card. And I wrote like, hey Jonah, I hope you something like, I hope like you enjoyed your time in the sun, because no one's gonna care about you anymore now that you have a little brother or something like that.
Damn.
Yeah, and And the woman who bought the card comes into my office and just starts yelling at me in front of all my coworkers.
Holy shit.
And was like, she's like, you need to fix this. And I was like, well, what the fuck do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And here's $1.39, buy a new card.
Yeah, she's like, I went and spent money on this card. I spent so much time picking out this card. I was like, lady, who gives a fuck? Like,
wow.
He doesn't give a shit. And then when I told Klaus that, he got so mad at her.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, I read it and it was hilarious.
Right.
And his wife thought it was super inappropriate that she did that, and she made me cover it up with like stickers.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a good fix, though.
Oh, totally. But still, so stupid. She was like, this is something special for me. It's like, bitch, it's just a card.
Yeah, also...
Like, I don't give a fuck. And then you have to, like, that's the worst part. Like, you have to pretend to care about shit, like, at your job. You're just like, oh, right.
Yeah, luckily my managers are, like, really cool.
Yeah.
My first manager was just, like, a very by-the-book guy.
Yeah.
Like, I remember... if I would go to the bathroom, I would come back and there'd be a sticky note on my desk that says, like, come see me. And then there'd also be an email that says, like, come see me. And then I'd have a voicemail. Like, dude, I was gone for, like, 5 minutes. And then it would be about, like, nothing, you know? And he would do that with other people, too. Like, make a big deal out of stuff. I remember he's like, well, we need to talk to Larry. Where's Larry? I was like, I don't know. He's away from his desk. I'm sure he'll be back. And then cut to... his name was Mark. Mark's in the hall. He's walking down the hall towards my desk. He goes, Larry's in the John. Yeah. Did you go hunt him down in the bathroom? Like, he's gonna come back.
That's so fun. You know what I like? I like pushing like the limit at my job, and I think people would just get too uptight. Like, you can't say that. She's our boss.
Right.
And I'm like, no, dude. She's a normal person, and she's like hilarious.
Right.
Like, I really like my boss at this job.
That's cool.
And she's like the head of like school psych, so I just like fuck with them all the time. I was like running late to like a school psychologist, like all 150 of us were having like professional development in one place, and I was running late because I wanted to get coffee. And I was driving on the way over, and I just took a selfie of me in the car with my coffee. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I emailed both of the top like people who were head of school psychology. I was like, hey guys, can you just do me a favor and see if there's a microwave? I got a coffee and it's just getting lukewarm, and I want to heat it up when I get there. Mm-hmm. And everyone's like, you can't say that. And they both thought it was like hilarious. And then it was so funny. My supervisor, like, she likes being funny. And she would come over to me and my buddy Miles, mm-hmm. and she would like tell us a joke, like whisper it, like as the speaker was speaking. And if we laughed, then she would say it out loud. It was so funny.
She like open mic.
Yeah, she was open micing us and then testing it out. It was the best. And like in meetings, I just dropped the F-bomb and stuff, and everyone's like, and then I went like, dude, she cusses too. She says fuck all the time. And then she goes, I forgot what she said, but it was just like, yeah, nobody gives a shit. Everyone, like, I hate how like everyone pretends like they don't like do shit at home.
Yeah, but you have to feel it out though.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I just think people are too cautious. I don't know.
Well, do you feel like that the coworkers you work with don't have a life outside of work? Like, they have family, they have work, and that's it. Yeah. And they just seem to be the ones that are the most uptight?
No, I luckily, like, the crew that I work with is pretty good. And they seem to have their things, I guess. But, like, yeah, they're just kind of content, have kids, like, go to work, come home, go to Ravens games on Sunday and shit like that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So they have lives outside of their jobs. Because I've worked in radio. So. I've never really worked offices. I've worked in radio. We have that office environment of like sales staff and the, like the people who schedule commercials and do all that kind of stuff. There's a whole office environment of those people that do payroll and stuff. Yeah. And it's very much the cards and cake and fluorescent lights and cubicles. Right, and those people are nothing like the rest of us that work in radio. Yeah. Like they are the office drones, and they're boring, and they're milquetoast people.
They might as well like work wherever. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. And it's all the same in the world. And occasionally occasionally Lady Gaga comes to the building, and that's their most excitement. Like, they're the ones who are more excited for anyone than all of us in the business. Like, whatever. Yeah.
As a real quick aside, the Lady Gaga thing made me think of, we went to Mount Vernon Marketplace last night. It's like this like big like wide open space with like a bunch of restaurants and bars and stuff. and we were grabbing a beer, and I guess it was like right after happy hour, and the bartender, I swear to God, he had like a very like well cropped beard, and all of it
bedazzled.
It wasn't bedazzled. It was like glitter.
Yes, I saw him yesterday.
It was dyed.
Yeah.
So
or
it's
2
like,
days ago.
it's like this like bright electric blue, and then like maroon on the side, and had glitter in it and stuff. And he was actually really nice. So we go up to the bar, and like he had just got done the rush, and he's like, "I'll be with you guys in 1 second. I just had to deal with all these people." I was like, "Dude, no problem. I'm sure. Were you the only one?" It was probably like fucking crazy. He's like, oh, "Was it crazy?" It was like rah 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 rah. And then he goes, "That's Lady Gaga." I was like, I don't have glitter in my beard, but I know it's Lady Gaga.
He thinks I know the most popular song on the radio. Yeah.
I love though how he's acting like he found some niche shit. You know what I mean?
That's Lady Gaga.
He hipstered you. Yeah. He hipstered you on the most popular artist in America right now.
I'm on that Lady Gaga tip, okay?
Maybe you've heard of her. She just did like this thing called the Super Bowl halftime party.
I don't know if you checked it out.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of like we were talking about putting your foot in your mouth at work. This year I was in a meeting. So like a big part of my job is I do testing for special education to see if kids meet like the requirements for like, or the what the fuck is it? I don't know how to do my job. If they meet eligibility for like things like ADHD, learning disabilities, blah blah blah. So his grandmother came in. She was concerned, so we had a meeting. It was me, the grandmother, and the speech pathologist, who is an Orthodox Jewish woman. Really nice. And I work with a lot of Orthodox Jewish women. I love it. They're great. And I have 2 stories about that. So like one. Actually, 2 days ago, we're in a meeting. It's a mom, a grandmother. They're black, and then it's 2 Jewish women. They're not Orthodox, but they're Jewish, and I kept cutting them off because our meetings just go so long for no reason, and I know how to speed it up. I know just what you need to say. I can explain everything like easily to parents. Yeah. And then they gave me shit for cutting them off, and I was like, sorry, and they're like, it's okay, we feel bad for him. He works with all women, like looking at the parents, and I was like, not only women, Jewish women. And I was like, they're kind of mouthy. And like the black women were like, we gotta get out of here. They're gonna kill you. So funny. No, but they thought it was hilarious because we're like really good friends.
That's great.
And like we have such a good rapport.
That's awesome.
And then so that one went over well. The other one, I thought we were on the same level. Not so much. So me and the speech pathologist, we talked to this grandmother, and the grandmother was like, "Oh, I didn't get your guys' names. What's your name?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm Umar." And she was like, "What's your last name? I'm not gonna remember that." And I was like, "Mr. Khan." And she was like, "I'm gonna call you Mr. C." I was like, "Oh, that's Mr. K." And then this the other woman says her name. It begins with a B, and she's like, "You can just call me Mrs. B." And the grandma was like, "I'm not gonna call you Mrs. B," because that's how kids like say like bitch. They're like, "You're a B." Yeah. And then I was like, "Yeah, when she's having a rough day, I call her a real Mrs. Bitch." and like the grandmother thought it was hilarious, and the woman was pissed. She was like, and then this was her response. She was like, "Mr. Khan thinks he's a comedian."
Dang.
Mrs. Bitch. I thought that was gonna crush.
It's so good because it was already established it means bitch. You're like, let me just go one step.
Yeah.
Explicitly said.
Yeah. I think like sometimes like when you do that, it like puts parents at ease. Like, oh, this dude's real.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting thing because I've noticed the difference starting comedy here and then moving to Boston. We are such a diverse city here compared to everywhere else in the world. Like,
fuck Boston. No, I love Boston comedy. The scene is great. Everyone there is super nice.
Yeah, you came to visit a few months ago.
But yeah, I did twice, 2 separate years. Everyone, the scene is awesome. It is a tough crowd to figure out.
Oh yeah, they're very liberal and uptight about a lot of things, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's how DC is.
Well, see, I've always loved DC. Every time I go to DC, everything I do always seems to go over better.
Really?
But I can see how it could be a little more uptight and liberal. Like I don't push boundaries. I don't really say that many offensive things now.
Yeah, no.
Before when I started, we all started saying offensive shit. But do you as Baltimore comics? Do you guys as Baltimore comics when you go into other cities? Do you find that like wow like?
Yeah,
because we have diversity. We work amongst black people, Jewish people, different people, like well across the spectrum.
Yeah.
Like working in Baltimore City is a lot different than working in Baltimore County, and there's a reason for that. Because we have different ethnicities going.
Actually, I would say Baltimore County is actually more diverse than the city.
Okay.
I think diversity here means white and black. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying.
Well, yeah, there's a broader spectrum of people in the county than the city, but. We work amongst people of color. Like here, I've been saying for a long time in Boston is like I'm from Baltimore. We live amongst our black people. Boston, they hide them away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's like
in Boston.
people in Boston is like, oh, Dennis is from Baltimore. He hung around real black folk.
Yeah.
Right.
They call them folk. It's like when white people call black people folk, that's terrible.
No, it was black people who say that.
Oh,
like
really?
the black community is like, oh no, Dennis is like legit. Dennis knows about legit black people.
Yeah.
Like me and guys talk about trap houses like it's second nature, and like everyone's asking why you wear a do-rag inside. I'm like, so you don't get lines in your head. Like I know that.
I think the difference between like even DC, I think Boston's more uptight than DC. And I think the difference is like Boston is there's also a lot of transplants in Boston.
Yep, huge. And that's what makes Boston the liberal good city it is, in my opinion. People who come there for work or who come there from college and stay are the liberals. Because the rest of Massachusetts might as well be the South with a different accent.
So that's the thing. I've only been in Boston in the summer, so those kids weren't there. So I think I was performing to the Boston kind of people. And the thing is they are liberal, but they're like racist still. Yeah. And then so they don't want to look racist. So a lot of my material I was doing, I talk about race, and I think it made them uncomfortable or mad. And so it took me a while to figure out like, oh, okay, yeah, they're liberal, but they're like those liberals who don't hang out with like other people who hang out with minorities.
Like the worst type. Where
the
it's
worst.
Like, I'm upset on behalf of them.
These
people I don't see.
Exactly, and so that's what I think the issue is, right? Like,
I think that's what I felt. Same way.
But Democrats in the South are fucking racist. Like they're fucking pieces of shit sometimes, and it's like, just because you're
anywhere, there's pieces of shit everywhere. Like to think that like the North is like this beacon of sensitivity and openness.
Yeah, I grew up in the county, which Baltimore, Maryland is very liberal. And I remember my friend's parents, like I grew up with all white people in the county, and it was like clear, like one of my friend's mom was like, I wouldn't say she was racist, but she was definitely prejudiced and definitely had like maybe some, I don't know, she was scared of like black people and her kids like taking up that culture. Actually, most of the like, so that's why like a lot of the kids got sent to private schools because they didn't want their kids going to school with black kids. Which is like, they'll say shit like, well, they're better school. It's like, no school that teaches creationism over evolution is a better school.
Oh my god, they were going to schools like that?
Yeah.
Whoa.
See,
I went to Catholic school.
I went to Catholic school and I went to public school, and I started sex ed education early, like 6th grade. Like we had a little bit of sex ed education in Catholic school, 5th grade, and then 6th grade in middle school and public school. When I switched to public school, we had it, and I find out that I had the most liberal, well-taught schools because. We never taught creationism. They taught religion and stuff like that, but they still taught us evolution there a little bit.
Good.
We had a really in-depth sex ed classes in public school, and when I hear about the things that other people have, I'm like, how did you not learn the ram's head or something like that? You know?
Yeah.
We I remember my sex ed. It was they only talked about. Abstinence. Abstinence was the only
Really?
See, we did not. My teachers were all about, they were pro condoms.
Because Eastern, where you grew up, is kind of conservative, right?
Yeah, and it seemed like they were just using like a way outdated thing. Like we watched a movie from like the 70s to explain sex.
Oh, excuse me. Whoa, that's crazy.
And it was actually really funny. Because so it's like this kid, he has a wet dream, right?
Yeah.
But he wakes up and he's like, oh no, like he lifts up his blanket.
Yes.
And there's
There's just a flood coming out.
I swear to God, at the foot of his bed, it looks like somebody pissed on it. He's like, it happened again. Like, what did you, like, come out of your toes?
Dude, I bet you could find that shit on YouTube now.
Yeah, because it was amazing, too, so it was, like, everything after that, too, was, like, this heightened extreme thing. So he's, like, trying to wash the sheets because he's all embarrassed, and his mom's going. He's like, no, don't come here. Like, he's washing him. Then he gets to school, and he's at his locker, and he's like getting shit out of his locker, and this girl comes up behind him. She's like, hey, Billy, and he's like, oh, and he leans into the locker, and she's like, you're being weird. He's like, oh, I'll see you later. And his friend's like, what was that? He's like, I got a boner. Like, just her saying like hi, and he's like, oh no. God. And so he's all confused about sex, and then his class goes on. They go on a field trip to the zoo.
Yeah.
And there's the animals are having sex, and one of the guys that works there, he sees that the kid's confused, and the kid like asks a question, and the fucking guy that's like cleaning up the pens, he like has his broom, and he's like, I've seen a lot of sex in my day. It was so weird. It was so weird.
Yo, that is. I remember seeing something like that, or talking about wet dreams, and not really getting.
I've never had one.
Ever?
No.
Nope, neither did I.
What? Oh my god, that was.
But they made it sound. They made it sound like in school that it was like, it's gonna happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's gonna happen every day until you have sex.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember, talking about wet dreams, and like so we used to hang out with my friend's older brother. He was like 4 years older than us, and he's like the one, like he showed us like Playboys when we were in like 4th grade and stuff. Like it was really cool. Like, and like I remember like he
was
like
really cool.
Yeah, I remember like I took a puff of a cigarette in 4th grade.
Damn.
Like, and I felt so guilty about it.
Oh yeah, I was like that too. I remember I stole something and it
dude, I like
yeah, it wrecked me. I was like, who even am
I? I like remember like wanting. Yeah, I had such a conscience when I was young.
Yeah.
And I mean, I still do, but I remember like we had a sleepover, and I woke up and my like shorts were soaked, and I was like, hell yeah, I had a wet dream, dude. Mm-hmm. So I'm like telling everyone I had a wet dream, and they're like, how do you know? And I was like, yeah, well, I woke up and my shorts were soaked. They're like, okay. And my friend's older brother was like, what do you mean soaked? And I was like, yeah, they were just like completely wet. And he was like, dude, you pissed yourself. I was like 13 years old.
100% pissed yourself.
Yeah, I was bragging about it. Like, literally, I told everybody.
You're still wearing it?
Yeah.
You're still wet, fellas?
And then...
Who wants to touch my dream
Yeah.
jizz?
Yeah, speaking of like having a conscience, like I thought masturbating, because like I grew up in like a Muslim household, like I thought it was like gross and dirty and you're not supposed to do it. Even though like, I think I was an atheist, I just felt like my parents would not be proud of me if I did it. So I didn't masturbate until I was 16.
Whoa.
Yeah, I did it.
That's super late.
Yeah, I did it a couple times, and then like I just stopped because like I would masturbate and I literally would shower afterwards because I felt so gross about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I masturbated like super early on, but not knowing it.
Yeah.
And like I remember.
What do you mean not knowing? You thought you like invented a new
what am I
game?
doing? No, it was at daycare. Like I didn't come or anything, but when we had when we had nap time, I remember we're sleeping on the cots, and I would be on my stomach and
dry hump the cots.
Not dry humping, but I would just kind of like rock back and forth on my dick, and I was like, this feels great.
Yeah.
But
I
knowing.
used to do something similar when I was a kid, and to tell I don't know how old I was, but I remember Twin Peaks was on the air.
Okay.
That's how young I was.
Yeah.
Because I remember Twin Peaks. I was not old enough to watch it. I should not have been watching it, but I totally was.
Yeah.
I remember,
awesome.
getting a boner as a kid and not knowing what it was, and like laying there in bed and just like flexing my boner muscle and watching my pants move. And I remember getting up and going, parents like, look, I can move things without my hands.
I'm a fucking god. Look at this.
I can move my pants without using my hands.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That was
I
crazy.
think back to like, it must have been so obvious what I was doing on that cot too. Just like, ooh, this is my little secret.
Yeah.
And it's like, what does this kid do? Like so obviously. Like,
Just rolling around on his boner.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
and then so I didn't start masturbating until I was 16. So and I am not like exaggerating at all. Like you need to come. Like you have to release like your body. So
I hope that's all he puts in for you. Like, so where do you work? You're like, you need to come.
yeah.
That's what you got.
You got to put all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like anytime like you like Umar, so what do you like? You need to come. Like every time it's the same clip.
So where'd you go to school? You need to go.
I wasn't masturbating, and I remember being in 10th grade, and I had a wet dream every night for literally a month.
Yeah, see, I was
every night, and it was like a nightmare because it was just like fuck, and I remember just having like I went through so many boxers, and it's like my parents are gonna know, and then so I stopped sleeping without boxers, and then I even thought about like stealing my parents' condoms and just sleeping with condoms on because I was like, it was so humiliating, and that's when I learned how to do my own laundry, which is still pretty late, 10th grade, but like, because I was like, I had to wash my sheets and shit, like, it was a nightmare.
Yeah. Now all I'm picturing is a Train Spotting S scene of you coming down the steps with your sheets going, oh, here, I'll wash them. And you're like, no, I got it. No, here, I'll do it for you. And then pull up and just everywhere.
Oh, dude. But then once I started masturbating and watching porn, I was like, oh, this is dope.
The best.
Why did I feel... And then as soon I started dating a girl, like around that same time, and she was like really self-conscious, and she was like, you don't watch porn, do you? And I was like, sometimes. She's like, and then she like started legit crying, which should have been an immediate like, oh, this person is fucked. And I was like, okay, I'll stop. And I like our whole 3-year relationship, I just lied to her, and I was like watching porn like every day. Like, what kind of insane? My last girlfriend did the same thing, and I was like, are you crazy? I can't watch porn.
Yeah, the other night Karen's like, I'm tired. It's like, but I wanna fuck. She's like, just jerk off. I'm like, next to you?
Yeah.
She's like, I'm tired.
I've never done that.
And then I was like, well, I mean, I have to like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. She's like, why? It's like, because I'd have to watch porn.
Yeah.
It'd be so awkward.
Yeah, I've never done that. I've never watched porn. What does this podcast turn into?
Yeah, it really devolved.
Yeah, it devolved from work.
Yeah, well, I was just going to let you... Basically, all I try to do with the podcast is I throw a couple questions out and I let the person go and see where it takes it.
Yeah,
the last question, because I know you got to go... It's Friday night, so we got things to do, and you got to go pick up your girlfriend or fiancé?
Girlfriend.
I'm not wrong for thinking that, because last night we ran into each other with her.
Yeah.
It was her, right?
What were you guys?
Golden West?
Yeah, I was getting tacos because I was doing Charm City last night.
Dope.
They were going to Golden West to get something to eat, and you said, we have a place up around the 7, so I assume if you're getting a place with somebody, it's probably a serious enough.
Yeah. So we're together, but we're not.
Okay, fair enough.
No.
You haven't done that yet.
No.
You haven't done the scary part yet.
No,
Got it.
definitely.
But last question to talk about jobs, especially with you, because you had the whole summer break, and you don't have. What do you got? 2 weeks vacation time from work, something like that, Josh?
It's pretty good. So yeah, we get a good amount of leave. I think it's 2 weeks or maybe a little more. But then you have, since I work for the government, you have the national holidays, which are nice, and then also I'm off every other Friday for my schedule. I still work 80 hours over 2 weeks, but it's super flexible. And then I can work from home 2 days a week now too.
But do you guys feel that you have to use that time up for comedy? Like, do you think it's better put to better use to do comedy?
Wait,
what do you mean?
Your vacation time. Like, when you have that vacation time, you're like...
I get summers off.
Yeah. Do you feel like the pressure of summertime is like, I need to go do more shows outside of Baltimore. I need to go do the road while I have this free time.
I think I used to. I think, like, I just look at comedy differently. I think, I don't know. I'm not really sure what I want to do with it anymore, so no. I don't have that pressure at all.
Yeah, I'm kind of at a spot where it's like work smarter, not harder. Like, where it's like, initially you're like, I gotta do 5 or 6 sets a week.
I used to do that a lot.
And so, yeah, same here. And I still will do that, but now I'm like, I'm not going to kill myself to do that. Like, if I don't have any, like, new bits that I'm excited about, like, why get out there, like, drive? Because we go to D.C. a lot.
Yeah.
We're mostly in D.C. for the most part, just because the shows down there are incredible. Like, I mean, the scene, like, Jim Jeffries popped into the Big Hunt last night.
Yeah, I saw people posting about that, and I was like, I was trying to get there this weekend, and I don't think Sean's going to put me
And
on
that's
it.
honestly the thing. It's like, that's what, like, I don't think I would ever need to, like, relocate or get my name out in New York, because that shit it doesn't matter for the most part. I think just the way everything is, like, entertainment is going, you're not really going to make a name from stand-up anymore.
Yeah, most of the people, like, you know, but you'll see it from working at clubs. Like, some people could be the funniest fucking people walking the planet, but they don't have a TV show, or they're just like a middle-aged white guy, and you know, so like the industry doesn't really fuck with them.
Yeah. Totally.
So it's like the people that quote unquote make it or on TV are funny, but they're not necessarily like the funniest comedian. So there's no way it's like you're the funniest person now. Showbiz is gonna shepherd you up, you know, the mountain. And so for me, it's like you work with enough cool people in the scene between Baltimore and DC.
Yep.
And then national headliners come through, and if they like you, they'll be like, hey, if I come back through, you can do a guest spot, whatever. Yeah. And that's how I got lucky working with Kurt Braunohler, and he was like, hey, if you're ever in LA, come do my show. And I was like, fucking hey, I'll go out there just for that. So and I'm sure you have that too, if like Hassan comes back.
Yeah, Judah asked me to open for him, like when he's coming back from 30 Rock, and like that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I think like stuff like that is cool. And then also, I don't know, like I remember like, even like the last 2-3 years, just going to DC 2-3 times a week, doing 2 mics a night. And like, I was like, I think one summer I was averaging 8 shows a week.
Mm-hmm. Because you could do like 2 a night. 2
yeah.
or 3,
But like, I can't, like now that I work full time, because I was in grad school, and now that I'm like working, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just nice to like enjoy life and actually like do things other than comedy.
Yeah, like be a human being. Like I actually am like, I'm gonna make dinner and watch a movie and do laundry, and I
like
love
it.
Like,
tonight I'm just gonna hang out with the chick I've been seeing, and it's like I'm excited about her, and it's like cool because like usually I go do like I would go like be a big hunt on Friday or like you know, so it's like I just it's fuck comedy.
Yeah, to bring it back to jobs too, it's like I'll be 31 this year. I have a good job. I have good job security, so I kind of am in that gilded cage of like I could move to New York or LA, but I would not do it to like just do comedy. And be like, I need a job. Like, I like shit. Like I know people that were like, I just moved to New York, and I don't know, like Lafayette I think he had like $1,000 to his name.
That's
or something
retarded.
Wild like that.
Insane.
And like I couldn't do that, man. Like I like nice shit. I like
me too.
I like going to restaurants and not worrying about how
I
much
love
shit
spending. I love being able to just fucking spend money and not think about it.
We sound like so pompous right now.
I don't give a fuck.
It's so nice.
It's
to be like,
so nice.
Oh, that beer's $8. I don't give a fuck.
Don't give a fuck.
Let me get that. You know
it's just nice. Like that's another, like that's why I know that like me, quote unquote, making it is whatever that means is not gonna happen because I cannot live shitty. Like I can't live shitty. I won't like.
And I also think about getting old too. It's like okay, so I'm 30. I better start fucking saving because I'm like, you know,
and that's
you're
what
gonna
people
have to retire.
That's what people don't realize. Like you are gonna be retired for a long fucking time. I don't want to be fucking working when I'm that old.
And I haven't figured out how to make the trust fund solvent yet. So we are in trouble.
Boom.
We are in trouble.
That's
so
a good
we
ending.
might not even have money to retire on. So
yeah,
I'd say you know, make sure you're okay, and then pursue your art and stuff like that too. I mean, that's what it works for me. It's like that balance of like, okay, like I would be a shit comedian if I was stressed about eating all the time. I think, you know what I mean?
And I think, well, that's another. I think the reason, like, I think having a job where you have stability and like health benefits and all that shit, like we can drive to DC all the time, not thinking about how much gas money it's gonna cost, like not having to worry about getting rides, not having to worry about taking off work or whatever. Because like if I want, I can call out the next day, and it's not gonna be like the biggest deal in the world.
Yeah, you can't do it all the time.
You can't do it all the time, but like if I get offered a cool ass show, I'm gonna fucking call out. I don't give a shit. And so I think I don't know. Yeah, I think having a job does allow me to do comedy smarter. Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. This is good. Glad we got this knocked out.
That was a lot of fun, man. Thank you.
And there you have it, my podcast with Josh Kuderna and Umar Khan. Josh and Umar, I know when I started, from starting comedy in Baltimore, we knew each other a little bit. I moved here to Boston, and every time I would go back, I'd run into him back and forth. Umar actually was up here in Boston just a few months ago. I helped him get on a couple of shows. Actually, he was referred to me by a former Boston comedian living in D.C., Kevin Seafree. He sent me, he was like, hey, Dennis, can you help a friend of mine down here in D.C. get some shows up in Baltimore? I was like, yeah, sure. He goes, hey, Umar, here's Dennis. He knows everything going on. Dennis, this is Umar. I was like, Kevin, we know each other. Actually, I ran into Josh the night of the Charm City Comedy Festival that I was doing. We were both outside. I was outside Golden West getting some tacos to go, some vegetarian tacos to go. And Josh and his girlfriend were walking in and we're like, oh, hey, what's up? Hey, what's going on? Hey, how are you? Yeah, oh no, I'm in town for the thing. Or we're going to get something to eat. Oh, cool. Hey, you want to do a podcast tomorrow? Yeah, sure. All right, this will be fun. And so I went to their house, which is just a couple blocks away from where the festival is happening in Hampden. And nice place, man. Good for him. He bought a really swell looking establishment. They have the light switch is embedded in the banister of the stairs to go upstairs. And I'm like, that is the coolest light switch location I've ever seen. Like they wired it into the banister, which is very good. You may hear you may have heard some jingling through the entire podcast there. And that was the collar of Josh's dog, which flipped the fuck out as soon as I walked in, and Josh just had to hold it and cuddle it and pet it during the entire podcast so he wouldn't freak the fuck out. And occasionally I'd reach over and pet him, and all the dog did the entire time was just stare at me like, all right, motherfucker, why are you in my domain? Why are you here? But anyway, that was a great fun podcast, the two of them. This is the kind of podcast I like to do where I can just throw out a topic and then just let the comedians run with it and go, and they do a great job of playing off each other because they know each other so well. They kept the conversations rolling. All I had to do was when we were going, wrap up this conversation before it went too long and then start a new one, and they did a great job, and I enjoyed it very much. Josh, by the way, his podcast we talked about on there, the Digression Sessions. There's a link to that in the descriptions if you want to check out his podcast with Patton Oswalt or any of the other guests that he's had on it. It's a fun little podcast. It's very inside Baltimore, which is fun for me because I know most of the players involved when they talk about stuff. So, by the way, I am talking to you from the new mic boom arms that I got in my studio while I was in Baltimore. My buddy Scott Lester, who does the theme song to this, the opening song to this podcast, he works at Z1043. That's where we met. And the studios at Z1043 in Baltimore were getting demolished and rebuilt a couple months back. And I said, I said, Scott, please snag me some gear. Like, he got some awesome speakers from the studio. He got me some boom arms, and it's taken 6 months or something for us to finally get these boom arms. To me, like, these things are so great and professional that I'm moving the mic up and down while talking, and it makes no noise. I mean, my other boom arms are fine, but these are so much better. So I have two nice, big, awesome boom arms that look so pro and awesome. And I don't know, is there a podcast where I don't talk about gear at all? Because I am such a gearhead. Anyway, thank you again for listening to this podcast. This is your first time listening to it because you came here because you are fans of Josh Kuderna or Umar Khan. Thank you so much. Please, if you enjoyed it, please go ahead and like this podcast, subscribe to it, give it 5-star review or however many review stars that you think is appropriate for it. Give it a review because that helps the aggregators of iTunes or Stitcher or Google Play or however you're listening to this podcast. It helps them to share it with more people. That way, if you're friends with Josh or Umar and you're listening to it because of that, more people will become familiar with them and more people will come see them and we'll all be more successful. Yay! Okay. Anyway, thank you so much again for listening. Take care. Goodbye. Thank you so much for listening to this. Or thank you. Remember how I said it makes me sound professional when I nail it? I didn't nail it.
I hate intros. Dude.
Yeah, intros suck.
Better time. I wanna say, we're getting sick of